how you see Toronto positioned versus global transit everywhere else.
Yeah. That's an interesting question, and I'll have to think how to keep that short because I've been in so many places.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally Rolls-Royce recruited me to go and run a business in the northeast of England, and I left South Africa after working in electricity supply industry and went into manufacturing with Rolls-Royce. Ran large projects in the Middle East and in the UK itself. Then joined Bombardier and ran different roles operated train fleets as a fleet director and deputy CEO for Irish Rail in Ireland. Then went to Scotland first came back to the UK as a managing director of a large part of the UK infrastructure. And then ran Scottish Rail and then came here. And I'll tell you what's the most interesting observation is when you think of Great Britain. Great Britain is a fantastic country, but geographically very small. And think of Japan as a fantastic country, but geographically very small. So when size goes down, physical size or square kilometers per capita goes down, the impact of transit becomes massively more relevant. And that's why Britain's invested in transit, and Japan and places like that invested in transit. And the exception to the rule, really, to a certain extent, is China, where they've also invested significantly in rail, more high-speed rail, because of the geography being so big, and they see economies of scale and huge economic impetus behind connecting cities with high-speed rail. And so when you ask me to compare Toronto, this is the way we need to think about it. Transit is nothing else but an economic driver. Moving people is about economics. And yes, it's also about softer issues, off-peak travel, connecting communities, all of that. But in its essence, it's about driving the economy of a region, the economy of a country. And we see that over here in Toronto in a big way. And I think even in a post-COVID world, the world is going to change due to COVID, but in a post-COVID world, I see the same economic impact from transit. And so when I compare what we do here, the scale of investment in rail-type transit needs to be continuous, consistent over many years in order to build up momentum, expertise in the industry, and to continuously grow the infrastructure base and the operational base to get better at it.
Right. And
I think where Canada, I say to my team, Canada is not a big country; it's a gigantic country. And it is gigantic in terms of the square kilometer per capita. And with that in mind, the transit industry is relatively small. And the investments are not really, in the past, has not really been consistently made, gradually grown as it could have been, because it's a smaller industry. But when you look at the last couple of years, it's very impressive how governments, and especially the current government, has solidified their commitment to transit and has made these huge investments. And this government's investment in subways is phenomenal, as well as the investment in GO expansion is phenomenal. And if you look at the number of LRTs out there, Finch West LRT, Huron-Terre LRT, these are transformational projects which are just going to change the region and the cities in such a big way. And so it's a fantastic time for transit in Ontario and in Toronto.